Hello and welcome back to my channel. It has been far too long, over a week since I last did a video, and for that I apologise. I do have a very good justification, which is that I actually was quite under the weather last week, and it was that process that gave rise to the video I'm about to film today. So hashtag sorry not sorry, and you'll be really glad you have joined. It is getting very, very wintry, turning very cold. And one of the questions I was asked recently was, what do I do or what do I take when I get normal person ill? So I think we're talking coughs, colds, catching viruses, maybe even the dreaded C word, anything that doesn't feel directly related to MEN1. I'm going to jump on and share with you what just happens to be a list in my phone of all the things that I have amassed over the past 5 years that I essentially keep in my physical and non-physical medicine chest. I've been so excited to share this with you. I couldn't wait to get better in order that I could share with you how I healed from what I had. So stay until the end because I'm going to explain something you'll be really glad you have stayed behind for. A reason why calling something normal person is probably not the best move in an MEN1 healing journey. That's going to come at the end. So without further ado, and in absolutely no particular order, my first normal person remedy: gargling hot, salty water, as hot as I can bear, at least twice a day. Personally, I do it morning and night, sometimes even after a meal as well. This is amazing for the sinuses, particularly as soon as I feel something coming on. I used to jump to like a Vicks First Defense, but I just found it didn't really help kind of clear the infection. It just delayed it. So actually, hot salty water, amazing. Antibacterial, works every single time, and the sooner you can take it, the better. Number 2, I personally double my vitamin D and zinc supplements. It's because these two are essential in terms of immune function, and whilst it's not going to make a huge difference in the grand scheme of things on their own, in conjunction with anything else you're doing, it's going to be massively helpful. I would actually say the same in terms of vitamin C, which is normally the vitamin that most people think of in terms of immune system and getting better when we've been unwell, because we think of things like freshly squeezed orange juice, vitamin C. I personally take something called powdered vitamin C, and the brand name is magnesium ascorbate. It is a fucking nightmare to get hold of in this country. However, definitely worth a Google, because it is a much softer, gentler form of vitamin C or magnesium that the body can absorb, and it works really well with my gut. I want a little like warning sign here, basically to say, look out for and probably avoid Berocca and its equivalents. The reason being, they tend to be just full of additives, artificial sweeteners, which personally I don't feel right now are safe for me to take. They haven't been around for long enough to really know actually what the long-term effects are. And Berocca, like, if you want something that tastes nice and tastes orangey, have a freshly squeezed orange juice. Like Berocca, it's almost like an adult taking Calpol. It doesn't have enough of, in my opinion, in my experience anyway, it doesn't have enough of those key, basically that vitamin C to make a difference. So I would just say watch out for those. Number 3, so I already take an electrolyte sachet daily. And the brand I take is LMNT. I will link anything that I use in the box below. I'm not endorsing it. I don't get paid. It's not an ad, but it's the first one I happened across, and it's brilliant. The reason being because sometimes when we're unwell, and this can actually go for any form of illness that causes dehydration, we lose a lot of salts and sugars from our body. So replacing those electrolytes is really important, and a little sachet, which I take every day anyway for my own health reasons, I normally take 2 if I'm unwell. And I would say that's my personal dosage. You need to work it out for yourself. Just check what the salt quantities are when you get the box, because sometimes they're super high in sodium, and if you have a high sodium diet anyway, so quite a lot of processed food, then that's probably one to skip. Okay, next, a whole day in bed, complete and proper rest and sleep. So I'm going to become unpopular when I say this, but Netflix binging is not rest. We think it's rest because we're sitting on the sofa doing nothing. It's not, because the brain doesn't shut down in a way that allows the body to enter what's called its parasympathetic nervous system, its rest and digest, where it is best able to heal. I hate it because sometimes it gets to a point in my healing where I've had those 1 or 2 days where I literally am bedbound and I don't feel like doing anything, and then I slowly start to get better and I'm getting a bit bored. That boredom is healthy. It's really, really important, and jumping into Netflix or jumping into admin is not a form of complete rest. Complete rest means getting into bed and doing absolutely nothing apart from sleeping. Meditating is a form of non-sleep deep rest, NSDR, and that's Andrew Huberman's term, I think he's coined. That's great. Meditation is great. Lying in bed is great. The body needs to shut down. It's hard, but it works. You're going to be laughing at me. I promise you that is the quickest way to heal. And oh, by the way, the brain will come up with all this mind shit about everything that's going to be going wrong whilst you're lying in bed. Your team at work is going to be struggling. They're going to be judging you because you've left them without support, or you feel like your business is going to like make way or cave underneath you. Not going to happen. No one at work is even going to notice. Okay, next one. I personally pull off caffeine while I'm unwell, and this is because it is a stimulant. So it stimulates the body to be more active. And when healing and when getting better from something, actually the body ideally needs to be more restful. And I don't know about you, you might not feel a buzz from caffeine, in which case maybe just ignore this. But for me, I do get a little buzz from caffeine that makes me slightly more, I'm going to say slightly less focused and more kind of do. Again, not great in healing mode. So personally, I pull off caffeine. Hot drinks generally, I've forgotten the number. Oh well. We'll find it at the end when I go through my summary. Hot drinks generally, like herbal teas, are absolutely fantastic. Broths as well. I love like a homemade chicken broth. The reason being is I find them very nostalgic. I used to get made these when I was younger. And anything hot actually raises the body temperature, and this mimics a fever. So you don't actually have a fever, but what happens when you have a fever is your body temperature raises itself naturally in order to signal to the brain that there is something to, like a parasite or an infection that the body needs to get rid of. So that's why we get temperatures. And the irony being that we're then told to bring the fever down when actually the fever needs to, in my experience, it needs to break itself. Anyway, I've gone a little bit off tangent, but the reason why hot drinks are so good is because they naturally mimic that fever state, which basically pushes the body a little bit into more of a healing mode. So don't be silly about it. Like, don't go overboard. Don't like make yourself sweaty and uncomfortable. But if you are going to drink anything, hot herbal teas and chicken broth are superb. Okay. Let go of old wives' tales. Something like coughs and sneezes spread diseases. Okay, we know that. The one that really pisses me off, because it fundamentally is untrue for me, feed a cold and starve a fever. How about just listen to my gut? How about just listen to my appetite? Actually, often when we become ill, and again, I'm branching out much further now than coughs and colds, I'm talking about also tummy bugs, all that sort of thing. The reason why often we lose our appetite when we're ill is because the body is focusing on healing. rather than digestion. So when the body is trying to digest, its attention and it draws blood away from other parts, from that sort of those healing mechanisms from the immune system towards the digestive system. So actually the body's really clever. What it's saying is, you're not hungry right now and don't eat because I need to focus on getting you better. The problem is that in my experience, we've fallen into traps of hearing our grandparents and our parents tell us, feed a cold, starve a fever, or like, make sure you eat enough. I think that's very, very common. No, listen to the body. The body knows what it needs. Okay, another food related one. Personally, I find it helps to cut out sugar completely. Now, this is because, from my understanding and my experience, sugar does nothing to help the immune system. In fact, sugar gets in the way of healing. And I'm not just talking about processed sugar. I'm not just talking about kind of the stuff you find in the types of sugar you find in packets. I'm also talking about like the sugar in fruit. And by the way, they are the same sugar. It's difficult because yes, we need vitamins and nutrients from fruits to get better, but like not in like severe quantities. And so I've personally found it better to like pull away from sugar completely, especially when I'm in those first couple of days. I don't drink freshly squeezed orange juice in those first few days. In fact, I've stopped drinking that completely. And that is one of the speediest things I've found, coming away from those kind of what we feel like we're craving. It may be that your body does crave some carbohydrate, in which case, as I say, there is sugar in vegetables, in fruits. Those are probably the ones that, in my experience, I've leaned towards and they kind of hit that craving. But you might find you don't even have a craving. I don't anymore. Beware mainly of like the super sugary stuff. Like I used to be fed, like before I knew about all of this and before she knew about all of it, my mum used to give me like dry shreddies and dry cereal because it was starchy and it felt good. Not the best thing. Okay, second to last, so this means number 9. I mentioned this before, meditation, and I'm going to combine this with yoga. So meditation slows down the breathing, turns us or puts us into the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest, and is one of the best ways of getting the body into its like most efficient healing mode. Breathing can be difficult if you've got a cold, and I'm going to add to this list as a little subsection, steam inhalation to clear the nose. Also, getting into a downward facing dog for me, for some reason, clears my nose when I'm ill. I think it's because it's an inversion and it helps the lymphatic drainage system, which is the reason why I suggest gentle yoga. So sometimes we feel absolutely rubbish, we don't want to move. Actually, the body needs to move when it's ill because it's like accumulating like illness. It's accumulating nasty cells that really the body's actually trying to get rid of. Yoga, inversion poses, particularly down dog was one that I mentioned. Viparita, which is a restful inversion. You lie on your back, stick your feet in the air with a block underneath your lower back. If you want to, you can put your legs against the wall. Absolutely brilliant. Works for me like a treat. And again, what yoga does is what meditation does, is it helps us enter that parasympathetic nervous state. Final one. I'm so impressed if you're still here. This was meant to be like 5 minutes long. A little walk. And I'm going to say that the most important thing first is rest and staying dry and staying warm. So if it's like bucketing it down with rain outside, or it's really wintry, or you're actually too weak to get out of the house, that's a sign. If it's maybe later, day 2, day 3, day 4 of healing something fairly low level, just a short walk, and it's going to feel really hard because the body's been used to healing and it's been used to not exerting physical energy. As soon as I step outside and I've done like a little bit of walking, just a little bit further. I sometimes add like a couple of minutes each day. I feel so much better, like mentally and emotionally as well. So that's part of the mental challenge as well. It's about knowing, you know, where is the line, like where is my limit and where's my window of tolerance. And sometimes we do have to step a little bit outside of what we think our tolerance window is in order to get better. Okay, I'm going to whiz back through those 10 really quickly as a summary, and then don't leave because I've got that thing I need to share to you about why you don't want to call things normal or not. Number 1, gargle hot salty water. Number 2, double Vit D, zinc, and take powdered vitamin C, if possible, and avoid Berocca. Number 3, electrolyte sachet, or 2 if you already take one. Number 4, a whole day in bed, proper rest. By the way, this list is what I'm saying to myself. I'm literally looking at myself in the camera, not anyone else. 5, pull off caffeine. 6, hot drinks like herbal teas and broths. 7, get rid of the old wives' tales. Feed a cold, starve a fever. That doesn't work for me. 8, cut out sugar where possible, but keep some, I'm going to say cut out the like comforting things like ice cream, and lean more towards like kind of the good starches, like the beans and the pulses, like quinoa, sweet potato, that sort of thing. Works for me. Meditation and yoga, but gentle, and inversion poses particularly. And number 10, a little walk if you can manage it. Okay, that literally came from my personal list, my personal medicine chest. I did promise that I was going to share something. How do I say this succinctly? So the question was phrased, what do I do when I get normal person symptoms or normal person ill? So we're very used to like going to the doctor and the doctor being like, oh, you know, okay, there's MEN1 over here, and then how's your general health? And I think as patients, we then assume that the two are completely separate. I'm going to throw you the possibility that actually your MEN1 health and your general health are not separate. Mine aren't. And the reason I know is because as soon as I worked on my general health, MEN1 magically started getting better. I share more about this with my email community. So if you aren't already signed up for my email updates, check the description box below, put your email in, make sure to go and check your junk, get confirmed, and then you'll be basically receiving like all the details, the closest details about what I do with MEN1, like the very, very tangible things, as well as guidance, the people I follow, and essentially like the framework I followed to get to where I am now. But it only goes to my email list and you have to go there. I'm not trying to be awkward. It's just the way that it works. It has been such a joy to film this. Thank you very much for watching, and I will check in with you guys next week.